I'm a guy that's 24. Each day I build some more. I like episode 7 and episode 8. I'm Rich Boy J. Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here back again with another video, and this is going to be my 2020 LEGO First Order Army video. This is the first time I've done one of these Army videos to this scale, and I'm super excited to show it off. I've been wanting to do this for quite some time. I just never got around to opening all the sets I had with my First Order troops in it, but I figured at this point, while I still have this half of my Starkiller base build up and good to go, why not just go ahead and do that First Order Army video. If you guys are new to the channel, this Starkiller base build is a part of a large mock that I'm working on. This is actually only half of what the mock will look like when it's done, so if you want to see more of that, I'll include a link to it in the description below. It's going to be a very large mock. This army is comprised of a lot of mocks, a few LEGO sets, and a whole lot of minifigures. So let's go ahead and dive right in. If we come over here to our first group of minifigs, you can see we have the First Order pilot figure. So I have 9 of the standard ones and 1 of the Special Forces First Order pilots, which is actually my favorite LEGO minifigure probably ever. The one annoying thing about this group is I actually purchased, I think, 6 of that First Order TIE Fighter set over the time that it was in stores. So that should mean I should have, I think, 12 of the standard troops, but I'm missing 3 of them somehow. So I don't know. I'll have to find out where that other guy is. But I really do just love the design of this minifig. I think this is one that LEGO knocked out of the park. I would love to see them at some point update the Imperial pilot to also have the flexible tube coming out of the helmet. Well, actually, I guess that helmet would have 2 of them. But I think that would be a really nice update for that figure at some point down the line. Next up, we have the First Order Colonels. Those are these guys in the dark blue uniform. I actually have 66 of these, if you include Rose here in disguise over in the corner, which is actually a really cool figure for them to do. The fact that she got the hat with her hair molded into it, and of course the female body, was really useful just because, like, if you want to make female versions of that officer, you can now have them with them curves, so that's an option. Next up, we have, I think these are the First Order Lieutenants. This is both versions of it. So to the right, we have 4 of them, just the standard ones. That last one I'm kind of annoyed with because the hat's missing. I don't know where the heck that hat is. And this is actually the same problem as the pilots over here. So because I bought 6 of that set, that should mean that I have 6 of this lieutenant right here, but I actually only have 2 of them right here. One of them's even missing the hat. So that's kind of annoying. The officer behind him is actually the one that went with the Kylo Ren command shuttle, the first one that came out. Over to the left, we have the updated versions, and these guys are super nice, and a reason I'm not super bummed about not having all the old ones, because I love the gunmetal gray that they use on these guys. So we have 2 of them. One is Finn, and then one is just a standard guy. So really do love that figure. I got to get more of those guys. Over to the left of that, we have a whole lot of snowtroopers. I think this is 49 snowtroopers, including the elite snowtrooper with a cape on this side. I just love that figure. I don't know why. There's something about a snowtrooper with a cape that makes me very happy. Some of these guys are missing their skirts. I kind of tried to hide them in the back rows, which is kind of disappointing, but you know, it's whatever. I have so many of these, and I'm honestly sure I probably won't need all of these. Even for this mock, so it's not a huge deal for me. Moving over again, we have a bunch of the First Order ground crew, these weird helmet guys. I don't know what it was about this guy, but they just kept throwing him in sets. Like, it just felt like for a while we could not get a set that was First Order related without one of these guys just kind of being thrown in there. But I think I have around 60 of the First Order ground crew guys. And I mean, it's not the worst thing ever having a bunch of these, just because, you know, especially for a Starkiller base build, it fills out one of these squares, which is nice. And these are nice guys to just have kind of hanging around in the background of any First Order build you decide to do. If we move over to the right, you can see we have 6 of the First Order shuttle pilots, actually 7 First Order shuttle pilots. We got 2 AT M6 pilots. Those boys will be chilling in there. And we have some interesting groups. So this is actually just the Sith Army. I honestly kind of contemplated whether or not I'd include them in this video, because, I mean, technically it's not First Order, but I figured, why not? They look like First Order troops. Let's just put them in the video. But we got 2 Sith troopers, 2 of the Sith jet troopers. Honestly, I'm not sure how many of those battle packs I plan on getting. It's not an army I'd love to have a big quantity of, especially just because like the ratio of Sith jet troopers to the standard Sith troopers 2 to 1 in that battle pack really isn't great at all. I don't need that many of the jet troopers. I love the design of the standard Sith trooper, but if I have to buy that battle pack and I have to basically just build these guys one at a time while I'm building these guys two at a time, I don't know how I feel about that. The biggest reason I would like to get at least a decent amount of Sith Troopers slash Sith Jet Troopers is actually to do, I don't really plan on doing a big mock on it, but I would love to have one of my First Order transporters displayed with all the Sith Troopers running out of it. I don't know, I thought that was kind of a cool scene from the film, so that might be something I'd be willing to do. Also got the Sith Trooper, or the Sith Army Officer over to the left, and of course our boy Elric von Reg right behind him. We move over once more to the right. We have, I'm honestly not sure what the logo is. I heard it somewhere. I just can't really remember what it is. But these are the guys from the Pisana Speeder Chase set. So the one of them behind is the Jet Trooper. This is the standard Stormtrooper with that weird logo on the front. I have no idea what that logo is, but it differentiates him from the rest of the Stormtroopers. Behind the Praetorian Guards, we have that boy FN2187. This is basically him with his dirty First Order uniform right before he defects from the First Order. Next up, we have 11 Praetorian Guards. These guys were fun to collect. Only 2 of them are actually from that Snoke's Throne Room set. The rest of them, you can see, have the pants rather than the skirts, which means they're from the battle pack. I think this is like 3 battle packs worth of Praetorian Guards. And then we have some Sith Executioners. These guys are kind of cool. Weren't really in the movie long, but I think in a group, especially with their giant electro axes, they look pretty sweet. So we got 12 of those guys right here. The next group in this army is certainly the largest. It is 254 standard First Order troops. These are the guys that I really tried the hardest to army build. This basically was the culmination of about 50 or more of that First Order Transport Speeder Battle Pack and about 45 or so of that original First Order Battle Pack. So super cool to finally see all these guys come together in one place. I actually have the updated versions right here. So these are the Last Jedi / Rise of Skywalker versions of those troops. I think that's like 18 of those guys. So I kind of just grouped them in because it's not a huge difference. It's a very subtle change in the design of the character, but it is different enough to where I decided to group them together. Over to the right, we have some of our First Order heavy gunners. We actually have 52 of those boys, and there's kind of some overflow into this area. 52 of those, and also the worst May the 4th figure ever, First Order troop with extra pockets. Next up, we have the Flame Troopers. These guys were so cool. It's probably my favorite First Order troop design, and I'm honestly shocked at how many I have. I actually have 82 of these guys. The unfortunate thing about the way they're lined up is because of their backpack, it makes them look super close together, so they're kind of bunched in there, and then there's some more of them also off to the side. But I just love the design of the Flame Trooper. Shout out to that First Order Transport Speeder Battle Pack for really allowing me to get anywhere close to this amount of Flame Troopers. Like, I feel like it wasn't that long ago when I first got that original First Order Transporter set, and I had 2 of them, and for the longest time, I just had 2. Then that battle pack dropped, and I was able to get a lot more of them, which made me quite happy. And then finally, in terms of just large groups of troops, we have the First Order. I'm honestly not entirely sure what these guys are called. I think they're First Order crew, but they have the general hat with the brim flipped down, and I have 44 of these guys. Also another good figure to have a decent quantity of because we just kind of see them in the background a lot. So it's good to have a decent amount of those boys right there. And that's really it for the main cast of just big troops and big groups. Over on the main stage, we have some of the named characters, as well as just special characters in general. So I think we have a bunch of General Huxes. The reason there's so many Huxes is because in this scene for Starkiller Base, there's a bunch of First Order generals with the coats on. So Hux is the only figure that represented that, which meant that I had to buy a lot of General Huxes. I'm in the process of actually just flipping a lot of their, or swapping their heads around so they're not just a bunch of Huxes. I think we have 13 Huxes in the back. There's another Hux in the front, so that's 14 total. And then one of them is the Hux from that First Order Heavy Scout Walker, so he's not rocking the hat. You also have 4 of the First Order Generals. So those are the guys from the polybag. I actually quite like that figure. It's a good figure. I love the arm printing on the sleeve as well. We have 5 of the First Order Commander figures, so 2 on that end, 2 on that end, and then there's actually 1 right there next to Phasma. Speaking of Phasma, we got Phasma right there. Also got BB-9E hanging out in the ranks. And this is, I thought this is kind of a funny thing to set up. This is basically the power structure of the First Order, right? So you have Kylo front and center. Hux is, of course, pointing the gun, trying to undermine him from behind. And then General Pride has the gun to Hux, trying to undermine him from behind. And then you're pretty much just left with a box of what's left of Snoke. So shout out to whoever decided to box him up and actually bring him to the army video. Over in the shadows, we have the 4 Knights of Ren figures that LEGO has currently made. These guys really aren't good for much, but kind of standing around and looking out into the distance. So that's what I have them doing in this video. And that's going to finish up the figure portion of the video. We're actually going to go ahead and move to the ships. So over here on the right side of the mock, we have 2 Special Forces First Order TIE Fighters. These are both built by Jarek. Jarek is the TIE Fighter King at this point. Oh my god, I love these builds so much. I actually modified them to have white wings rather than the original gray that Jarek designed. But these are some good looking ships. I like them quite a bit, and I have 2 of them, so that makes me quite happy. We also have my custom First Order transporter build, so it does have a full interior. I unfortunately can't really reach it to open it up and show you guys, but I think, I don't have a video on it, but it's in one of my Starkiller updates, so you guys can check that out if you want to just see more of that transporter. Up here, we have the ATM-6. This thing is huge. The last time I had this built was probably over a year ago. I took it to, I think Brickworld Chicago was the last place I took it to, and it was a lot to travel with. As you can imagine, this thing is 16,000 pieces. It's like 3 feet tall, and it's like 40 pounds heavy. So it was a pain to travel with. I did not enjoy it at all. I just finally got it back assembled, and it's still in pretty rough shape. I realized I had been scalping a few parts from this thing, but I think it's still looking good nonetheless. And for people who ask me why I did not include my ATM-6 in the Starkiller base build, well, this is why. It pretty much towers over everything. It takes up so much space. It's not even in the scene, so it's not just like a walker I can kind of put in and have it blend in with everything else. It takes up so much space. It's not something I can justify putting in this mock, as much as I would love to have the ATM-6 in another mock. So that explains that. Over to the left side, we have Kylo Ren's TIE Silencer up front. We have a lot of TIE Fighters. This is just the standard First Order TIE Fighter, also designed by Jarek. This is 4 of those standard First Order TIE Fighters. We have the updated Kylo Ren shuttle right there, one that came out with the Rise of Skywalker. Up here, we actually have some cool ships, so I decided, why not just park Von Richt's TIE Fighter right there? It's a cool looking TIE Fighter, and I love how it's perched right there on the edge. I think that's kind of cool. Then up top, we have the First Order Star Destroyer. This thing kind of gives me anxiety looking at it up there, but it's pretty well balanced. Like, I've had it sitting up here for a day, and it doesn't look like it's going to be falling anywhere, so that's good. But that is the First Order Star Destroyer set that came out with the Last Jedi wave of sets. I love that set. I think that set probably has the best interior of any LEGO set ever, and that means a lot to me because I'm all about the interiors when it comes to LEGO Star Wars vehicles. If you guys are wondering why no more sets, where are the 5 TIE Fighters I mentioned I had? They pretty much are all scavenged and poked through. Like, I have one of the transporters right there. I bought, I think, 5 of them. But, I mean, I built my own custom one, so I figured it would be weird to have, you know, the set version and my own custom one there. So a lot of the sets that I bought to amass this army just didn't end up making it into the video because they're pretty much broken and in my parts collection for the most part. Some other honorable mentions that didn't make it into the video is this group of figures right here. So this is probably about 200 total figures, but these were actually loaned to me by 2 very good friends, by Garrett Bricks and Forever LEGO Studios. Please go check out both of their channels. They are great people. They loaned me these figures from my Starkiller base mock that I'm working on right now, but I figured I want to make this video authentic with my own personal army, and I also just kind of for myself wanted to see what all I have and what all that would look like together. So that's why that wasn't included in this video. Another thing that I might have felt inclined to include is my AT-AT walker. Right now, it's a Imperial AT-AT, but I actually did convert it to a First Order AT-AT when I built Crate a while back. Since then, it has been made back into an Imperial walker, and I really have no plans on making it back into the First Order walker. So if I did feel the desire to do that, I would have done that in this video as well, but just looking at this table and all these figures, I don't know if I would have even had room. But this is my army, guys. I hope you enjoyed checking it out. It's almost 700 figures, tons of ships, and I love it. Easily my biggest army in LEGO, like by a long shot. I love the First Order aesthetic. I love their vehicles. I love the troop designs, and they're probably one of my favorite things about the sequels in general. So now that I've gotten this video out of the way, I can refocus my attention on my Starkiller base mock. I'm basically gonna have to pull all these sections up because I'm gonna have to basically start working on what would essentially in the full mock be behind the base, which is including the interior, the oscillator building, the forest where Rey and Kylo fight, all that good stuff. So if you're not tuning into the Starkiller base build series, I certainly urge you to do so. I think it is going to be a fantastic mock once that gets finished up. But if you guys like what I do, go ahead, support the video by hitting the like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.